If you've been thinking about moving to Red Deer, you've probably already realized something. There is no one-size-fits-all area. So each part of this city has its own vibe, its own price point, and its own lifestyle. So in this video, I'm going to break down Red Deer by area, from the inner core to the southeast, to the north ends, to the west. We're going to touch on all of it. And more importantly, I'm going to highlight some of the neighborhoods in each one of these areas so you can get a feel for which area might suit you the best. All right, if you want that classic Red Deer vibe, the kind of neighborhoods that really show off the city's character, the inner core on the south end is where it's at. So we're going to be talking about the neighborhoods of Sunnybrook, Bower, and Grandview. These are three of the most established, personality-filled areas in the city. And the one thing about these neighborhoods, there is nothing cookie cutter about them. They all have a ton of character. They got big trees, they got bigger lots, and that central location that kind of keeps you close to pretty much everything, really. Now let's start this off with Sunnybrook. And if you ask 10 locals where they live, if money was not a factor, I promise you at least half of them would say Sunnybrook. This is one of Red Deer's most beautiful and popular neighborhoods, hands down. There's no question about it. Now, the homes in this neighborhood were primarily built in the 1960s and 70s, and every single one of them has its own look and feel. There is nothing cookie cutter about this neighborhood. Now, the tree canopy in this area, I don't know if tree canopy is actually a word, but in this area of some of the most beautiful trees and tree-lined streets that you're going to find anywhere in the city. I actually, I've had a few clients that they drove into the neighborhood of Sunnybrook and they're thinking that this place, man, it must be super expensive. Like, that's how much of a wow factor this neighborhood has. Now, it definitely can be. You can have homes on half-acre lots that sell for over $1 million, but you can also find some very nicely renovated homes in that $400,000 to $500,000 price range. Now, a really cool thing about living in the Sunnybrook neighborhood is you are right next to the Waskesiu Trail system. This runs right along the west side of the neighborhood, and this is one of the premier trail systems within the city of Red Deer. It really is beautiful. So this is perfect if you want an active lifestyle. Here you're going to find tons of people walking or biking or hitting the trails with their dogs, and you can actually walk through the trails straight to Bower Mall, or if you want to visit the Sunnybrook Farms, which I highly recommend if you're moving to Red Deer or you're just coming here for a visit, check out the Sunnybrook Farms. This is a preserved farmstead, I believe from the early 1900s. So this is a really cool area and a lot of fun, and it just gives the Sunnybrook area nostalgic kind of small town feel in the city kind of vibe. Now, as we go through this, I am going to try and give you guys some cons of each neighborhood, and I'm sitting here trying to think of cons of living in Sunnybrook. I mean, it's got the location, it's got the beautiful walking trails, it's got the bigger lots and mature trees. I honestly cannot think of any drawbacks of living in this area. Some people might think that, because it's old, that could be a drawback, but honestly, that's what attracts a lot of people to this neighborhood. So no real cons to speak of for Sunnybrook. And if you're thinking about making that move to Red Deer, or you just want to explore Red Deer a little bit deeper, my name is Kyle. I am a realtor in the area. All my contact info and free relocation guide is pinned in the comments below, as well as in the description. All right, next up, let's talk about the neighborhood of Bower. Now, this is an interesting neighborhood because it might just be the most walkable neighborhood in the city of Red Deer. Now, it's bordered by Gates Avenue on the west side. So you've got all the restaurants, the stores, and the nightlife basically at your doorstep. You can walk across Gates Avenue and you end up in places like South Point Common, which has Walmart, Home Depot, Sport Chek, Winners, Home Sense, you name it, Toys R Us, not Toys R Us, Pets R Us, the pet store. And right in this neighborhood on the north end, this is another unique thing about living in the Bower neighborhood, is you have Bower Mall right in the neighborhood. This is the city's most popular and busiest mall. Now, the area of Bower is a little bit older. Most of the homes are built in the 1970s and 80s, but it's got a ton of life and convenience for it. Like I said, this is probably arguably the most walkable neighborhood in the city. So you can walk to Beau's Bar and Stage. This is right across Gates Avenue, which is one of Red Deer's most popular spots for a night out. Or you can hop on the Waskesiu Trail system on the east side of the neighborhood, and this connects you all the way down to the River Valley. Or if you want to head south, this can take you down to the Centrium, or same thing, the Westerner grounds. The Centrium is located in the Westerner grounds, and you can take in whatever event is going on down there. Now, I will say that this neighborhood is also walkable to the college. It's going to be a little bit of a longer walk, but 100% doable. Just might get a little chilly on some of those cold winter days. Now, just to point out some cons in this neighborhood, and these are potential cons, not everybody might see it this way, but Bower can have a busier feel to it, especially near the mall on the north side of the neighborhood. And some homes on the west side, they are going to be backing onto the businesses along Gates Avenue. So you are super close to Gates Avenue, but some of those homes will be backing right onto them. And some people might look at that as a potential con as well. But even though it's a little bit busier towards Gates and towards some parts of the neighborhoods, if you just walk a few blocks in, this neighborhood completely flips apocalypse. It gets quiet, it gets green, and it is super family friendly. So if you want somewhere that you can actually walk to dinner, entertainment, and shopping, Bauer is going to be tough to beat. And finally, the last neighborhood that we're going to talk about in this inner core of the South End is Grandview. Now, this one is right near the heart of the city, and it's kind of a hidden gem. Now, this is one of the best places to live if you want to be close to downtown. Like, I'm talking biking distance or walking distance, but still live in a quiet residential area that's not actually located downtown. Lots of people who work downtown Red Deer, they love this neighborhood. Now, most of the homes were built in the 1950s. So again, you get the bigger mature trees, larger lots, and a really cozy neighborhood feel. Now, Grandview actually sits up on a ridge overlooking downtown, and that's where it gets its name. Now, at least that's what I think. I don't have any facts on that, but I've kind of put two and two together.
Why are you going to the airport? Flying somewhere?
How'd you guess?
I saw your luggage. Then when I noticed the airline ticket, I put two and two together.
So I hope that that's right, but up on that ridge, there are some beautiful homes with some stunning views of the city. And it's not uncommon to find lots with older homes that have been torn down and replaced with some really cool modern custom builds. Now, the overall neighborhood vibe in Grandview is that it's old school charm meets modern infill. So you see a lot of older character homes with some unique new builds sprinkled in, and it just works. So if you like being central, if you like being a walkable neighborhood downtown and part of an established community, Grandview definitely checks all of those boxes. Now, if the inner core is old school Red Deer charm, the southeast is where the family life really starts to take off. This part of the city is packed with schools, parks. It's got newer homes, think 2000s and up. So you're not going to find many mature older trees in this area, but you will find a ton of kids on bikes, lots of playgrounds, and walking trails busy with families. The southeast is definitely one of the most family-oriented corners of Red Deer. And the three neighborhoods that we're going to focus on here are Lancaster, Vanier East, and the neighborhood of Anders. Each of these neighborhoods is going to have their own distinct vibe and plenty to talk about. Now let's kick things off in Lancaster, the neighborhood that pretty much defines family life in the city of Red Deer. This is one of those neighborhoods where I swear you can practically hear the sound of a hockey bag zipping up every single morning. Now, built mostly in the early 2000s, Lancaster has more schools than any other neighborhood within the city. You've got St. Francis of Assisi, which is a Catholic middle school. You got Maddie McCauley, which is a public elementary school. And in the neighborhood, you actually have two different high schools. So Notre Dame, which is the Catholic high school, as well as Hunting Hills, which is the public high school. These are all just within blocks of each other. So if you do have kids, they'll be set for the next 13 years of your life without ever having to leave the neighborhood. And right in between the two high schools is the Collicutt Center. So this is one of Red Deer's biggest and most popular rec centers. It's got a wave pool, it's got a skating rink, indoor track, field houses, you name it. I swear this is where half the city heads to stay active all year round. Now, you've also got a newer shopping plaza within the area. Within this plaza, you have a gym called Functional 45, as well as a bunch of other businesses. Another really cool one here is a business called Recovery Labs. This place is super cool. If you're a biohacker, you're into longevity, you can go there for an infrared sauna. You can hop in a cold plunge and get a massage afterwards. So really fun business. Lancaster is just a super well-rounded area that's right around the city's median home price, which is roughly $450,000. So it's very family accessible. Now, con-wise, again, it's tough to think of some cons for this neighborhood, but let's just say we're in the early 2000s. If you've ever seen oak trim and oak cabinets, you know exactly what era we're talking about here. All right, if Lancaster is where family life begins, Vanier East is where it gets an upgrade. Now, Vanier East is a newer one. So homes built kind of between 2007 to 2019. And it's got a really wholesome vibe here. So I actually lived here myself. And what stood out to me the most about this area was just how family oriented and family filled it was. There was always kids knocking on my daughter's doors, asking them to come out and play, which as a parent, to me, that says everything about what kind of neighborhood this is. So it's packed with parks, playgrounds. There's one really cool central park within the neighborhood that's surrounded by homes. So the kids can, they can play safely while you watch from the porch. Maybe you're having a beer. Now, even though it's newer, Vanier East still has a ton of really great paved walking trails that, they loop around a man-made lake and they connect the neighborhood together. So this is great for, kids on their rollerblades, on their bikes. That pavement just makes it that much better. And because it's tucked in the far southeast corner of the city, it's super quiet here. Now, if Vanier East were a person, in my opinion, I was thinking about this, it would be that young family with the jogging stroller and the golden retriever named Scout. They're out on the trails every single evening. Basically, this is the neighborhood version of a family Instagram story. Now, you are going to pay a bit of a premium to live in this area. So as of 2025, the median price for a detached home in Vanier East was sitting just under $600,000. But People love it for the peace, the safety, the community feel. It's just really one of those neighborhoods that feels right if you're raising a family. But if you're looking for something a little bit more established, maybe with a touch more polish, that's where the neighborhood of Anders comes in. So this is the third neighborhood we're going to talk about for this southeast corner. Anders is a diverse neighborhood with upscale sections as well as older character sections and plenty of comfortable middle-class homes all mixed together. And actually, according to Area Vibes, this was ranked as one of the safest neighborhoods in the city. I'm not exactly sure how Area Vibes calculates this stuff, but hey, we'll take it. It's an interesting mix of areas too. So in the northeast corner, you've got Anders Park, which is an older section. You got mature trees, you got those classic character homes. And just south of the older section, you hit Anders on the lake, and that's where luxury starts. So think custom homes, big lots, and yes, multi-million-dollar properties. Then a little bit over to the west side, you get into Aspen Ridge. Here you're gonna find a blend of detached homes, duplexes, townhouses, and condos, a little bit of everything. So this part of Anders is perfect if you want this neighborhood, but you don't want that $1 million mortgage. Now, within this neighborhood, you also have the East Hill Shopping Center, which gives you groceries, medical clinics, coffee. You got Tim Hortons there and fast food places like McDonald's. It's super convenient, and the location of Anders is that it's central enough. You kind of have easy access to pretty much everything. Now, trying to think of some cons of this neighborhood. It is a bigger neighborhood. It's a great neighborhood, great to live in. The only potential cons of living in this area, and this just means you just got to pay a little bit more attention, is that it is kind of surrounded by a bunch of busier arteries. So on the west side, we have 40th Ave, which is really busy. On the north side, we have 32nd Street. And on the west side, or the right side, if you're looking at it on a map, you have 30th Ave. So all of these are super busy arteries within the city of Red Deer. So if you are thinking of moving to the area, if that is a con for you, you will save a little bit of money on your house because it's going to be valued a little bit less because of that busy street. Just make sure, you're talking with your realtor, you're pulling up the map and you're checking these things out. Okay, so that's the southeast, packed with schools. You got paved walking trails and tons of families. But as we head across the map to the southwest, this is where the vibe shifts just a little bit. This part of Red Deer is all about the lifestyle. So easy access to some of the best nature along the River Valley, endless trails, and Heritage Ranch, one of the best parks in the city, right in the neighborhood. Now, in this southwest corner, this is also where you're going to find Red Deer Polytechnique or Red Deer College. So you'll see everything from, you have young students in the neighborhood walking to class to longtime locals who have lived there before the campus was even built. Now, you have the established charm of West Park, which is a little bit of an older neighborhood, to the newer homes in Westlake. So this corner of the city, it kind of blends convenience with that close to nature feel that really sums up what Red Deer living is all about. But let's start this off with West Park. So again, as I already mentioned, this is an older neighborhood, and this is the closest neighborhood to the Red Deer College. It is literally right across 32nd Street. So in this neighborhood, you're going to find a nice mix of longtime locals. There's going to be retirees, families, and plenty of students looking to rent places while they're in school. Now, most of the homes were built between the 1950s and the 1970s, so it's got that classic established Red Deer feel. It's got big mature trees. It's got those wide streets and character homes that all look just a little bit different. When I was in college in Red Deer in 1998 or 1999, this is actually where I rented one of my first places. And honestly, other than the the newer gigantic middle school, not much has changed since then. It's still got that same familiar feel. It's the kind of place where everyone knows someone, and the streets look pretty much the same as they did back when I lived there. And that is not a knock on it. I say that in the best possible way. Now, there is, as we mentioned, a big newer public middle school in the area called West Park Middle School. This is a super popular middle school, and you are only a short walk or bike ride to the River Valley, which borders the north side of the West Park neighborhood. Now, price-wise, it's going to be a little bit more affordable here in West Park. The median home price so far in 2025 was sitting at $350,000, which makes this a solid pick for first-time home buyers or especially investors looking to cash in on that college crowd. Now, on the east side of West Park, you're going to find more townhouses and apartment buildings, so it's going to be a little bit more of a higher rental population over there, while the west side feels a little bit more quieter and has a little bit more of a residential feel. So that's West Park. Down to earth, comfortable, full of history. And just a little bit over to the west, things start to look a little bit newer. So this is where we get into Westlake. Now, Westlake is going to be a somewhat newer neighborhood, kind of think a little bit newer than the early 2000s. Now, this is the kind of area that looks like it was designed for balance. So you have quiet residential streets. It's all single family detached homes, which is really, really nice. You're not going to have some big condo complex staring you down in your backyard. And it has some of the best access, not only to the River Valley, but one of the best parks in the city called Heritage Ranch. Now, Now, Heritage Ranch is right here in the neighborhood of Westlake, which means you can literally walk out your door, you can head over to the ranch, you can go for dinner at the Westlake Grill, hit the trails along the river valley, and what a lot of people don't know as well is that through Heritage Ranch, right along Highway 2, you can access the Alberta Sports Hall of Fame. So super fun way to spend the day with the kids, that Sports Hall of Fame. If you got a little guy or a little girl into sports, it is a fantastic time. And if you're into fitness, right beside the college, right across 32nd Street, you have the GW Smith Canada Game Center. This is a beautiful rec center that was built in preparation for the Canada Winter Games in 2019, I believe. And this is a state-of-the-art facility. So it's got a great gym, running tracks. This is where the Kings and Queens play. These are the college teams, so you can go catch a game. Really super convenient. So between the trails, the rec center, and Heritage Ranch, there's always something to do, whether it's indoors or outdoors. And again, like we said, most of the homes were built in the early 2000s, and it's all single-family detached houses. No condos, no townhomes, no big apartment complexes, just nice, clean streets with families and professionals. All right, now let's talk about the cons, because no area is perfect, and there's definitely a couple of big cons in this area, or one really big one anyways. The biggest one is the highway noise. So Highway 2 runs right along the west edge of the neighborhood, so depending on where you live, you could be backing onto Highway 2, or really it doesn't matter which part of the neighborhood you're in, you're always going to hear that constant steady hum of traffic coming from Highway 2, which is a super busy highway. It's the busiest one in Alberta.
I heard a noise outside.
I can't sleep here. I can't sleep here.
And weirdly enough, the cell service can be spotty in some parts of Westlake. So if you're in a mid-call, you might find yourself doing the awkward shuffle down the driveway, just trying to keep that signal. Now, Westlake is a great neighborhood. If it wasn't for the highway noise, just because of everything that surrounds it, the college, the GW Harris Canada Game Center, all the beautiful nature, this might be my favorite neighborhood within the city. All right, now that we talked about the southwest corner of Red Deer, let's head all the way over to Red Deer's east side. And over here, you're gonna notice that it's got a little bit of everything. So you got established neighborhoods, that feel lived in, as well as you have some brand new areas with new builds still going up, and some of the best walkability and amenities anywhere in the city. Now, depending on where you land, your day-to-day in this area is going to look totally different. Now, let's talk about the neighborhood of Clearview Ridge. If Red Deer had a live, work, and play neighborhood, this would be it. So Clearview Ridge is one of the most convenient neighborhoods, hands down, in the city of Red Deer. You can grab groceries, you can hit the gym, you can meet friends for dinner without ever leaving the neighborhood. And right in the middle of it all, you have the Clearview Market Square. So this area is packed with restaurants, it's got shops, it's got all the major banks, and just about everything that you would need day to day. You've also got, some really cool restaurants in there like Brown Social House. This is easily one of the best restaurants in the city, and you have the Canadian Brew House right in the neighborhood. So this is perfect for catching an Oilers game or just relaxing on the patio and having a few drinks. In my opinion, Clearview Ridge is also one of the best neighborhoods in Red Deer for young professionals, because you're just so close to everything. You've got great food options, you got just enough nightlife to keep it interesting without getting too wild. And this neighborhood is really close to some really great nature as well. It backs onto the Gates Lake Bird Sanctuary. This is just a really cool park where you can get some quiet, stretch your legs without leaving the city. Clearview is going to be a newer community, so most of the homes were built from 2008 to 2018. And while detached homes averaged around 523,000 in 2025, there's something here for nearly every lifestyle. So you'll find row townhouses, you can find condos, there's even a brand new apartment building going up right in the middle of the neighborhood right now. So the diversity in this neighborhood just gives buyers and renters a lot more flexibility and a lot more different options. Now, the only downside to this neighborhood, again, Red Deer has its spots for this for some reason, is you can get some shitty cell service in this area.
Can anyone get a phone signal?
No. How is there no signal in here?
So if you're the type who likes to have everything within reach, gym, coffee, groceries, dinner, places to go and have a drink, Clearview Ridge is definitely where Red Deer makes that lifestyle happen. All right, now let's talk about the neighborhood of Evergreen. If Clearview Ridge is where the action is, Evergreen is where you go to recharge a little bit. So everything is still really close, just with a little bit more peace and a lot less traffic. Evergreen is located just north of Clearview Ridge. It's one of Red Deer's newest and fastest growing neighborhoods. And like I said, it has that quiet, tucked away feel that people love. So Evergreen kind of sits slightly separated from the rest of the city by about a kilometer or so from its nearest neighbor. So it's super peaceful with way less through traffic and a very secluded feel. Now, even though it is a newer neighborhood, there's also some great walking paths and man-made trails winding through the community. They're not massive or super extensive by any means, but they're perfect for evening strolls, or letting the kids ride their bike. Now, even though there aren't amenities inside the neighborhood, neighborhood, yet you're just minutes away from the Clearview Market Square, as well as the Timberlands Outdoor Plaza, which they have, again, we talked about grocery stores, restaurants, coffee shops, fitness studios. So really living in the Evergreen neighborhood, you get that quiet, but you're still not giving up any of the convenience. When it comes to cons, there's not a lot to complain about here other than the ongoing construction here for the next few years. It's definitely going to be built out for quite a while. I believe that the city council just approved 200 more units to go up. It added it to the area structure plan for Evergreen. But if you're looking for something modern, again, super secluded, super unique feel to it, very quiet, and still has everything close by, Evergreen is a great option. All right, if Evergreen is the new kid on the block, Deer Park is the one that we're going to talk about next. And this one has been around, it knows everybody, and it keeps the neighborhood running. So this area is full of families, longtime locals, and retirees who've kind of watched the area grow up over the last few years. Now, in this area, you've got the mature trees, you've got the big yards, and that relaxed, no nonsense kind of vibe. Now, right in the neighborhood, there is a small shopping complex with everything they need from, it's got a co-op, groceries, it's got a neighborhood pub called Chillabongs. That is a blast from the past. That little hole-in-the-wall pub has been around forever. Go check it out. And there's a few local spots like Mucho Burrito if you don't feel like cooking. So nothing flashy here. It's just a solid, comfortable place to live with everything close by. Now, homes in this neighborhood were built primarily in the 80s and 90s. So you're going to find a big mix of bungalows as well as 2 stories and split levels. This is one of the larger neighborhoods in the city and actually has been one of the most moved to neighborhoods so far in 2025. So it is super popular. Now, this is a great neighborhood. For cons, again, I'm trying to pull hairs here, and this can go for any, obviously, neighborhood built in the 1980s and 90s. But because this neighborhood was primarily built in that time frame, definitely when you're looking at your house or looking to buy a house, check what plumbing they have there. A lot of the homes are going to have poly B plumbing. It was a type of plumbing they used back in that time frame that now it's no longer used. It's prone to failure, and there's a class action lawsuit against it. So
buy a house that had that kind of history?
This is not the house we're buying, Don.
So something to definitely look into. Not the end of the world. You can get it changed out if you find a place that you love, but this plumbing sucks. It's a pain in the ass. All right, let's cross the river. Let's go over some bridges and let's head up to the north end of Red Deer. Now, a lot of people write off the north end, but honestly, they shouldn't. It's going to be quieter up there. It's going to be a little bit more laid back, and it's going to be a little bit easier on the wallet than the south end of the city when it comes to purchasing a home. With new developments like the Haslet Lake development and the city's north of 11A project, this side of Red Deer is about to level up in a big way. So let's check out what life on the north side really looks like, starting with a few neighborhoods that might surprise you. All right, way up on the far north edge of the city, Kentwood is one of those neighborhoods that quietly just kind of does everything right. So most of the homes were built in the 90s and early 2000s. So you're getting an established area without being too dated. It's quiet, it's family focused, and it's one of the best spots in Red Deer for, in my opinion, first-time home buyers. Now, they just opened up a brand new school up there. It's called St. Lorenzo Ruiz. I believe that is a Catholic elementary school. I need to write this stuff down. And this has been a big addition for young families in the area. And here's a fun fact about Kentwood. In 2024, Kentwood was one of the fastest appreciating neighborhoods within the city of Red Deer. Now, I've helped a few clients move out to this neighborhood over the last few years, and they all say the same thing. They love how peaceful it is. Now, the only real downside, in my opinion, of living this far north in the city of Red Deer is that you are a little bit removed from a lot of the best shopping and amenities in the city. So think South Point Common, Bower Mall, that is all on the south end. So you will definitely be hopping in the car a little bit more, and it will be a little bit longer of a commute. But again, Red Deer's not that big of a city, so it's not like it's some crazy commute or anything. But with all the new development planned just north of here, like we talked about the Haslet Lake, Kentwood is in a great spot to benefit from a lot of that future growth. All right, let's move on to the next neighborhood. So if Kentwood is your quiet, steady, first home kind of vibe, Oriole Park West, which is the next neighborhood we're going to talk about, is kind of where the city starts mixing things up a little bit. So it's kind of like, a starter neighborhood and a luxury neighborhood. They went ahead and they had a baby. Now, in this neighborhood, you've got everything from entry-level homes like we talked about to million-dollar homes backing on to the river valley. Oriole Park West is one of those neighborhoods that really surprises people. So it's laid back, it's family-oriented. Again, it's a great area to pick up your first home, but then you'll come around a corner and you'll see these huge custom built $1 million homes with walkouts backing onto that river. Now, most of the homes were built in the early 2000s, so it's not too old. They've got that solid established feel without being too dated. But one of the best things about living here is the access to nature. So right in behind Oriole Park, right along the river, is a little bit of a lesser known park in Red Deer called Maskapatoon Park. It's got beautiful walking trails. This is actually a pollinator park for insects. And right on the south end of this neighborhood, you've also got the Red Deer Golf and Country Club right next door. So this kind of adds, a touch of that executive neighborhood feel to it. And if you hop on your bike or, you take a short walk, you can be at Bower Ponds, which is a super popular park. All the trails that access along the river valley, as well as Great Chief Park. So perfect for catching a game or just spending the day outside. Now, of course, real talk, it's not all perfect. Just like the neighborhood of Westlake, you are close to Highway 2, which means you are going to have a fair bit of traffic come within the neighborhood. There's also a train that runs along Highway 2, so that can come close to some of the neighborhoods. And on the north end of this neighborhood, there is a commercial area, so you get lots of businesses and hotels. And this can definitely kill the view from some streets. So depending on where you live, you could be enjoying a backyard barbecue or having a beer on your deck, and you could have a Holiday Inn staring you down. All right, now let's head across the north end to the west side and let's talk about the Pines. Now, the Pines is kind of where Red Deer's character really starts to show. This is an older established neighborhood. It feels a bit like the north end mirror image of the neighborhood of Bower down on the south end. So same idea, it's got big trees, big lots, and a mix of everything, but you're right up against Gates Avenue along the west side of this neighborhood, which again, this can be a pro or a con. You've got easy access to all the shopping, the restaurants, and everything that comes with it. But some of the houses could back onto Gates and back onto some of those businesses. So some people might not like that. Now on the south end of this neighborhood, right across 67th Street, you do have Parkland Mall. So remember, Bower had Bower Mall right in the neighborhood. Right across 67th Street to the south, you have Parkland Mall. Now it's not as popular as Bower Mall, but it still has some solid options. Like you have Walmart in there. Everybody loves being close to Walmart. You can go to the Keg for dinner, and it's got one of the most popular gyms in the city called Good Life Fitness. So convenience definitely is not a problem in the Pines neighborhood. Now what makes the Pines stand out is kind of how diverse it is. So you've got everything from, apartment style condos to even a smaller mobile home park in the area. You've got some seriously beautiful homes along Piper Drive, and then tucked inside the neighborhood are these hidden little closes. So we have things like Palo Close and Payne Close. And in these pockets, you have, densely treed areas and high-end character homes that really, they kind of make you forget that you're even in the city. These really are some of the coolest spots in Red Deer. Now, the Pines isn't perfect, just like everywhere else. You'll catch a bit of traffic noise and the pace can feel a little bit busier near Gates Avenue, but it makes up for it with character. So every street's got its own personality, and for the price, it's one of the better kept secrets on the north end. Okay, we've hit the north. The north is definitely underrated, it's affordable, and it's full of personality. But before you start picking your favorites, let's rewind to the heart of Red Deer. We're gonna head downtown, the part of the city that still sets the tone for everything else. So we're gonna take a quick look at two neighborhoods called Woodley and Waskesiu. All right, look, if you are chasing the old school Red Deer charm, this is it. Woodley and Waskesiu are two of the city's most nostalgic, character-filled neighborhoods that you are going to find anywhere. These areas are packed with history, old growth trees, and some of the most beautiful streets that you're going to find anywhere in the city. You're going to find everything from early 1900s heritage homes to updated character homes on big private lots. This is just the kind of place where, in my opinion, every home has a story and no two streets look alike. They are right along the Waskesiu Trail System, which you've already talked about. This is one of the premier trail systems within the city of Red Deer. And in Waskesiu itself, you are literally right on the river. So this is one of the best options if you want to live on the river without paying or having to give up a kidney. Now, not only are you close to the river, but you're only a few minutes walk from the Gates Lakes Bird Sanctuary, the Kerrywood Nature Center. So if you love the outdoors, you're never going to run out of places to explore. Now, there's also two schools in the area. So you have an elementary school, I can't remember what it's called, and there's also a high school in the area called Lindsay Thurber. And only a few blocks away, you have the Central Middle School. So within this area, it's very walkable for your kids, no matter what school they're going to. Now, in my opinion, these communities tend to attract people who appreciate nature, and character. So it is full of it. So you get lots of retirees, you get lots of outdoorsy types, and even young families who want something different than a newer suburban feel. Now, real talk, these neighborhoods are still downtown. So downtown Red Deer does have a little bit of a sketchy reputation. Just a little bit to the west, maybe 5 or 6 city blocks, you are going to run into the homeless shelters as well as the safe injection site. So this may not be everyone's cup of tea. I do want to, actually interview some people who live in the area and see if the crime is actually that bad. In my opinion, thinking about it, there's so many people who retire in this area. I can't imagine that the crime is that bad if lots of people are looking to retire here. Woodley and Waskesiu are easily two of the most beautiful historic neighborhoods in the city, and they have that undeniable wow factor the moment you drive through them. All right, that's Red Deer. Every corner's got its own vibe, and hopefully this helped you figure out which one feels like home for you. So if you're thinking about making that move or you just want to dig a little bit deeper, again, my name is Kyle. I got all my contact info and free location guide pinned in the chat below and in the description. So if you do need help, feel free to reach out. Would love to hear from you. All right, cheers. See you next week.